Okay, here's my next project. It's a Maul OMG. This one's got a roller nose. It's a Maul bar. I can make out Maul right there. You can probably see it. Anyway, this is a different sort of saw. It's a nice complete saw. Belongs to a gentleman some people call Cobra Cliff. Anyway, I've already checked the spark, but the recoil rope, it's kind of like, looks like shoelace. It's flat. We're going to put a new rope in it. We're not going to leave it like that. See if we can come up with a better handle. So we've got 3-part saws there. 2 of the handles look just about as rough as that. We'll see if it's something better. We'll take this off and get to the flywheel. The recoil's in under this piece. These are an interesting saw because they have a half a crankshaft. Literally. The opposite side where the intake goes that's the end of the crank. It's kind of like a weed eater engine where you can pull the side off, you can pull the cylinder off and just literally slide the connecting rod off the crank and pull it up and out. Anyway, when I get this off, get this cover off, these 2 covers off, I'll get back to you and we'll pull the flywheel. Back in a minute. Okay, this one's different than your conventional engine. It's got a bolt in the end of the crank instead of the crankshaft coming out and being threaded with a nut on it. This, I believe, you got 3 screws going into here, and there's a hole right down below here. I believe this is a bolt with a slot cut in it to pull this out. Somebody's been in here before us. The screws are missing. Let's give her a whirl anyway. Got the socket here. Put the socket on a little butterfly gun. Spin her off, we'll find out. Yeah. So there you go. You seen it when I seen it. And yeah, it doesn't show that well. But that slot, if you took these 3 screws out, lifted this up, you'd pull the bolt out this way. Just a minute, let's get her out. There you go. You can see exactly what I was talking about, the slot. Sorry. Thin frame here. So the bolt goes through the bigger hole, slides up into the groove like that. You can see the bigger hole where it comes out and the smaller hole. Up through, over. That's what it pulls. So this takes the same coil as an OMG. An SL5, well sorry, this is an OMG, 2MG, an SL5, and OMG all take the same coil. So somebody's been in here, this is the first time I've seen one without a crack. It's got spark, so you guys don't need to see me. This is the same as a 2MG. I haven't uploaded the video yet, but before you see this, you'll see the 2MG underneath this cover is the points. I'll check to make sure they're half decently clean. It's got nice spark, and you can see the rope feeding through there. I'm going to put a new rope on it, and I can leave it like that. So get a rope on it, we'll go from there. I'll clean up underneath here, and we'll look into the carb. This might be a real easy one. When I get more, I'll get back to you. Back just quick. The best way to access this lifts out. Up like that. The best way to access this is remove this. I want to look at the back side of this coil to make sure it isn't cracked. So I got this here tool. This is fantastic for getting on top of the mag plate like this. Just sliding the points cam up. gently bring up the ignition anyway. I want my other hand, so I can hold this. Anyway, you can see the rope there, it feeds in behind. That's enough. You can actually slide this out. I'm not going to. I'm going to feed new string through here and rewind it. Anyway, just thought I'd share that. These are fantastic tool. They're for upholstery, or like for automotive popping door panels, etc. They're great for popping these point cams off. You want to make sure you can see there, hopefully it focuses it in, you got an arrow with the writing. You want to make sure and keep that the same way. I'll put it in this tray. It's got to go back on the same way. If you flip it over, it's going to throw everything out. Some won't go on backwards, but some will. Get back to you when I got more done. Okay, now you can get a better view of where the rope goes up through. I undid the kill wire, left the positive, like the high tension terminal hooked up to the coil. I don't want to disturb it. So there's a good reason to take it apart and have a better look at the back side. I said it wasn't cracked. It's not cracked on the face, but it's cracked back here. You get dampness in this, it'll start shorting out to the metal and burn the coil out. So I'm glad I pulled it right out to have a better look. These ignition systems too are quite interesting. See, this is your coils. It acts like your flywheel. There's your coils. It picks up off of this here. Well, sorry, this is your coil frame. This is what some it acts like your flywheel anyway. There's your magnets. Sorry, I can't think of the name for it, because this flywheel is literally just used for its weight. There's no magnets in it. The ignition system, it's a Bendix ignition system. They always do this. In any saw they put them in. Anyway, I'm going to glue this up. I'm going to repair the starter here, and we'll get back to you. Okay, I should know better than to say easy. This tray, right there you can see the end of the recoil spring. This one's broke. As you pull out on it, it just sits there and spins around. This tray that contains the spring drops down in here. This cap here goes right over this. You pull this off, like this will go back on. Boom, like that. On the bottom side of this pulley, what did I do with the other one I had? Right there, that pin grabs the spring. You got to guide it into it. Anyway, I replaced it, took one out of one of the part saws that Cliff provided. So now back to, I'll give these points, even though they're spark, I'll give them a good cleaning, gap them, because I don't want to go back in there again. Anyway, when I get a little further ahead, now that I'm back to where I was like a half an hour ago, I'll get back to you. Alright, I got the other side all back together, good spark. Wound up that the points were garbage. They were really rounded. Let's see if it'll focus in on it. How dark they are. Surprised it had spark, but it's really rounded. And this one's concaved in, you can see that. I'm sure it'll show up on the video. So anyway, this is the cover that goes over to hide the carburetor, to protect it. Figured I'm going to take a look at the carb now before we put fuel in it. And I don't know why people don't put things back together. So I can understand this may be getting broke off. This is a shut off valve. But, I mean, there's where your high speed jet goes. Nothing. You can take this fuel line off and open up the float bowl and see how clean it is. And on the one part saw, there's enough of a carburetor, at least we'll have that one piece. When I get a little further along, I'll get back to you. Oh, I wanted to show, this saw has definitely been apart. You never know what's going on, right? You can see the silicone, see the orange silicone where the cylinder went on. Who knows how long ago it was pulled apart. But anyway, it's definitely been apart before. Bring you back in a bit. Okay, this saw just keeps giving and giving. This is a real no-no. The person should have had their ass kicked for that. You never use silicone on these gaskets. A little bit of that gets down into the float, or into one of the orifices of the carburetors. It just screws it. See down in there, probably not enough light. Maybe it's just catching it right, but there's a jet down in there. And then throttle linkage, none. So I'm going to have to pull one of the part saws apart and hope for the throttle shafts in it, because there's not one in this. More orange silicone around here. Orange silicone around here. Somebody really liked their silicone. Anyway, when I get a little further along, I'll clean out all this silicone shit out of the float bowl. Put it back in, put a high speed jet in, and a shut off valve that's missing or broken. And we'll see if it'll run. When I get more, get back to you. Okay, she's really dark and overcast. It looks like it's going to rain any minute. I jumped out here and just went ahead and started it without just... Let's restart it here. Get you in frame. There you go, sorry for the spin around. Mall OMG. There you go, Cliff. She's up to you to degrease it. And we got a better handle for it. Anyway, battery's about ready to die. And we're going to get showered upon here any minute. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye for now. So just before I use back, I wanted to show you what I was talking about on the crank. There's a connecting rod. Then you've got this Phillips screw that you take out. Like there's only one counterweight on that crankshaft, that's it. Really bizarre design. Anyway, this is one of the part saws. And then this is where your recoil spring would go in that tray. Here's your belt, they're belt driven. This one's garbage. And the back side of this is your clutch drum as well. Kind of a weird design, but anyway, I guess it was probably one of their cheaper saws. And then in behind the ignition plate, you can't really see, but in behind there is your other sprocket for it. You'd have to take all this off. It'd be a fun job putting a belt on it anyway. You'd have to pull this whole side off the saw. Anyway, just thought I'd take a second and share that with you. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.